season, Derby County missed out on safety by only 7 points. If it weren't for a pesky 21-point deduction, they would have comfortably sailed back into the English Championship. 12 of those points were deducted because they entered into administration, which is a fancy word for saying the club couldn't pay their bills, and a further 9 points were deducted for a topic that not many people know about or understand that ultimately led to Derby County's demise: their sin, amortization. And that is the topic of today's video. So let's learn a bit more about what actually got Derby County relegated to League One and debunk some of the biggest myths around transfers and how they work. Amortization seems like a big and complicated topic, but I promise you it's not, and we'll walk through it today. But to truly understand the gravity of what Derby County did and how they broke the rules, first we need to understand what amortization is and how it impacts financial fair play. Let's start with a real-life example that's fresh on everyone's mind. Manchester City has just purchased Erling Haaland for around £50 million, and for the sake of this exercise, let's imagine that he signs a 5-year contract. Most fans would think that Manchester City needs to show a £50 million loss for the fee paid, but that's actually not the case, and here's where amortization comes in. Amortization is an accounting practice that allows teams to show that loss over the course of a player's contract. Now, this next part is really important to our story. Every team in the English Football League needs to follow what's called straight line amortization, and all that means is that the loss that you show is the same year over year for the length of the contract. So if we take our example where Manchester City buys Erling Haaland for £50 million over 5 years, that will mean Manchester City has to show a loss of £10 million each year, and not a £50 million loss at the time of purchase. And this is also why clubs can buy so many expensive players in the same transfer window. So what did Derby do then that was so bad to get a 9-point deduction for incorrect amortization practices? Let's use Tom Lawrence, their captain, as the example. Tom Lawrence was signed to Derby for around £5 million, and he did sign a 5-year contract. Now remember that rule that every team in the English Football Leagues needs to follow? Using a straight line amortization, Derby County would have to show a £1 million loss on Tom Lawrence's contract each season. What they did instead was they made up their own values of the players and contracts. If they stated Tom Lawrence's contract to be worth £4.5 million in year 1, then they would only need to show a £500,000 loss instead of £1 million loss. But is that actually an advantage worth a point deduction? Well, I think that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking. Profit and sustainability rules within financial fair play allows for at most a £13 million loss each season for teams in the English Championship. If Derby continued this practice with 10 players or the whole squad, they could have conceivably saved millions of pounds in their balance sheets each year while every other team was playing by the rules. This unfair advantage is the exact reason for the 9-point deduction. And this is just skimming the surface of wacky accounting practices at Derby. Their owner created a shell company, sold the grounds at a ridiculous profit to the shell company, and then loaned it back to Derby, but we'll cover that another day. There is a great book called The Numbers Game by Chris Anderson and David Sally that looks to demystify some of the biggest myths in soccer using statistics. One chapter in particular is looking at the factors of team performance. The first factor they found, to no one's surprise, is the squad on the pitch. The second factor was the manager of the team. And the third factor they found was the team's accountant. It looks like this season, Wayne Rooney and the Derby County squad just weren't able to outplay their accountants. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you to all the Patreons for extra support, and shout out to the fan tiers and above. I'll see everyone next time on It's Called Soccer.